Hello, welcome to class. Sorry about that. Hey, welcome to OVP. I'm the pessimist,
I'm the optimist.
and this is Optimist Versus Pessimists, hence OVP. Yeah.
So I have to hate everything.
No, I'm the pessimist. You have to like everything. Messing that up.
Already got it wrong.
All right. Well, it's a good podcast. I think we're done. Yep.
This is it.
Okay, so we're this podcast is basically going to be just us talking about a bunch of nerdy things. Yeah, I guess movie stuff if it's relevant.
Probably mostly movies, pop culture in general.
Yeah.
But really just anything that we think that we want to talk about.
Yeah, pretty much. It's kind of like nothing's going to be dependent on whatever's new or hot that week or whatever. So, yeah.
In fact, we'll only talk about things that are long past the point of
Revolution.
relevance. Nope.
Relevance.
Revenant. Nope.
The Renaissance. The
Where's
Renaissance.
the word? Words are hard.
Anything that's relevant to the Renaissance.
You know what? English is my second language.
I got that. You actually have that. I can't do that. I can't say that. I was born here.
So what are we talking about today, Ron?
What are we talking about? Well, today's kind of just be more of an introduction, kind of a rough timetable here. Is going to kind of introduce ourselves. I have a couple of questions to put Mr. Optimist over here on the spot. And we're mostly going to talk about Smash, because, we are down to one last character for the new Fighter Pass. And there's obviously going to be another Fighter Pass, so there'll be more characters. But, we're going to talk about Smash, kind of who we want to be, And also, I started a show called Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I don't know if anyone's heard of that show. We're also going to just kind of talk about that generally. All right, here's my question for you, Carlos.
All right, here we go.
If you had to choose 3 fandoms to follow for the rest of your life, which would they be? You're only limited to 3. Think very hard about this, because this is for the rest of your life.
In this case, is Marvel and DC a separate fandom, or is comics
I think
one whole fandom?
I think in this one we want it as small as kind of possible. I think Marvel and DC are separate.
Okay, so then Star Wars is one. You said 3, yes?
I said 3, yes. That's all you get.
Star Wars, Marvel.
Ooh, man. Okay. It's tough picking a third one, right? Because I think I have 2 myself, and I'm having a tough time thinking of a third one I want.
Is anime? Can anime be all one fandom?
Ooh, that's tough. That is really tough. Because that's so broad.
Mm-hmm.
So broad. Yeah, why not? Whatever. Sure.
Perfect. There you go. Definitely Star Wars. Definitely Marvel over DC right now.
I think ever, really. Marvel is always going to be better. I mean, that means no Batman for you. You don't get Batman ever
That's
again.
the thing. We've always talked about how DC has better characters.
Well, yeah.
Just the execution's just not there.
No. Okay. And then anime, because obviously anime. The hentai.
Obviously. I mean, is there any other kind of anime?
There's other kinds of hentai.
I thought that's what we were talking about.
Oh.
I'm pretty optimistic about that, let me tell you.
Oh my god. All right. Would you like to know what my 3 are?
Can I guess?
Oh,
can I
sure,
guess?
sure. If you can guess, yeah.
Can I guess? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that Star Trek is definitely one of them.
Yeah, that was literally the first thing I thought of, yeah. Yeah, Star Trek. Yeah, Star Trek's better than Star Wars. Get over it.
I mean, you're not wrong.
2 more.
I guess I'll say Marvel for you as well, but
you know what?
I don't feel good about that.
I didn't even think of Marvel.
I don't feel good about that.
No. That was definitely not one of them.
No. You know what? Actually, only Star Trek is the only one I can really guess.
Really? Okay. So, Star Trek, obviously. Game of Thrones, or A Song of Ice and Fire. That whole...
Even now?
Even now, yeah. Because I have the book still. Because that 6 books coming out in 2038, I think, or something. I don't know when he's going to release it, but it's coming out.
If he makes it.
If he makes it. He
oh, wait, no. I'm supposed to be optimistic. He's going to make it, guys. He's going to live it out.
Okay, so there's that too. And then the third one, because you said anime, I was having a tough time with the third one. I think anime would be the third one. So, bye-bye Marvel and DC. I mean, it's fine now because Marvel is kind of done at this point, the movie franchise. See, for me, like, after they hit Thanos... there's not much more they can build up to anymore. Now it's just going to be all separate projects that aren't building up to anything.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully Eternals is setting up something. Hopefully, we get a good Fantastic Four something, so we can finally get to a good Galactus, a good Doctor Doom. A Doctor Doom could be a Thanos level.
It can be, character. but we're not building up to anything because that whole
not that we know of yet.
I guess not that we know of, sure, but like, what can we build up to? What's bigger than Thanos? Galactus? Is he? Because he's always
same level of
but he's always
threat.
But sure, but he's always been associated more with the Fantastic Four. So I'm assuming he's going to be in that. Mm-hmm. So like, what other thing can all the superheroes kind of join in and take on? That's the real question here.
Annihilus is a good one.
That's not the mutant. I always confuse him with
Onslaught.
Apocalypse. Oh, Onslaught.
Are you thinking Onslaught?
Maybe I'm thinking Onslaught.
The one that's the amalgamation of Professor X and Magneto.
Maybe. Oh, that sounds really cool. That'd be fun. Like they put on like an earring each, and then they kind of
no. That would have been way better. It's all like mental realm stuff.
Oh, okay. Okay, so so Onslaught. Okay, no, but you said Annihilus as a potential.
Yes.
Is that like the alien species?
Yeah, I mean he's just like a cosmic level guy, basically invading alien kind of deal.
Okay.
Who's very, very powerful. You know, it takes Thanos and Galactus and all manner of celestial kind of characters coming together to stop this guy.
Okay.
So I don't really know much about him other than that, but he could definitely be something to that level.
We have to go cosmic again, it seems. Then.
Well, that's definitely the way they're going.
I mean, I guess with all the movies that are coming out here, yeah, okay.
Because Eternals is all it's all cosmic. It's essentially what like the New Gods, like Darkseid and all of those guys are for DC.
Right.
The Eternals are for Marvel. In fact, I think it is Jack Kirby as well. Who...
So he has like one idea and that's it. And he just whatever company hires him. It's like, hey guys, I have this idea. There's gods, right? In this day and age, just any company that'll hire him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. People do feel that too. That it's just a lesser version of the same kind of concept.
Well, isn't that kind of how Marvel and DC work anyway? It's like both of them have like similar heroes that are like like they had to fight about Captain Marvel, like the title.
Oh. It's hard to come up with comic book things that are fresh and new.
That's true.
Everything's been done at this point. Other threats that I could see, maybe Kang the Conqueror is one that could be really cool. As a very powerful kind of like.
Is he the one that who's the one that like travels through time?
Yeah.
Is that's King the Conqueror?
That's King the Conqueror. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought I was confusing him.
Who is like an alternate universe version of Reed Richards, I think.
Oh my god. Like sure.
Or comes from Reed Richards. There's a lot of things going on with that guy.
All right, fair enough. Okay, well, we kind of got really sidetracked, but
I'm just being optimistic. There are things, After Endgame, I felt the same way, where I don't even know if I'm gonna watch these movies. No, but really, I have to give it the benefit of the doubt because even though there are movies that are, not as good in the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
yeah,
even their worst movie is okay to good.
I can't even think of a bad like. I'm very pessimistic about the Marvel universe, but like most of them are just kind of meh, and maybe that's a problem.
But not bad. Like there's never been one that's outwardly bad.
But sure, but sometimes meh can be bad, if you know what I mean. Where it's like it's just so bland that it's almost forgettable. Like you remember something, like you remember Batman versus Superman, DJ. You remember that because of how bad it was.
Because it was awful.
Exactly, but like meh. Like do I remember Thor: Dark World? No, because it was just so meh. But anyway, I do have another question for you.
You didn't even tell me the last of your fandoms.
Oh, I did. I said anime.
Oh, right. I was going to ask you, though. Do you think that you could narrow it down to a subgenre of anime that's your favorite?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, like, I've seen so much shonen anime. Basically, shonen's kind of like a run-of-your-mill tournament fighting, character gets stronger kind of deal.
That's also my favorite, but I don't think it's the best. If that makes sense. Like, it's my favorite genre, but I think the best animes are not shonens usually.
That's tough though, because like Full Metal Alchemist is this shonen, right? Is it?
I guess technically. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We're gonna have to fact check on that.
Oh yeah.
Listeners, there's no one listening.
No.
Listeners, please comment. Let us know.
Us re-listening to this, Google this. So that we can figure it out.
We were wrong.
We were wrong, yeah. Oh, yeah. Nope. Just found out. Yeah, wrong. Yeah, so I don't think I could pick a subgenre because I just mostly watch shonen, but like a lot of there's an anime called Monster, or I guess manga called Monster, and that's really good. And it's just a straight up kind of drama. So I guess for lack of a better subgenre, probably shonen.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So what's your next question?
My next question is very similar in a similar vein to the first question, and it's going to be: you only get 3 genres of movies you're allowed to watch. No mixing of them. So you get straight up 3. Choose 3. Yeah, it is tricky.
Sci-fi, fantasy.
Wow. Okay. Those are usually combined, so that's fine. That's 100% fine.
But if I had to pick between straight up science fiction and science fiction fantasy, I would go fantasy, personally.
You go fantasy?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Dramas.
So
all your Oscar baity kind of movies. Because you know what? Even though I'm not necessarily that much of a fan of those, I do still respect the performances and such. And, you know, I never want to lose that part of cinema. So
right, okay.
Science fiction, fantasy, dramas, and you said 3.
I did say 3.
Action adventure, huh? Why not?
Why
Gotta
not?
have a good popcorn movie once in a while.
I mean, that's completely fair. I get you. Yeah. Mine's kind of similar to yours. Actually, I didn't even consider science fiction fantasy. Because I would probably be between the two of them would just pick science fiction. Because I don't find there's a lot of good fantasy movies nowadays. Like, I can't think of, like any kind of fantasy movie. Like, I think Willow. Like, I can't think of anything modern other than, like, obviously Lord of the Rings.
Harry Potter.
Oh, and I guess, is Harry Potter fantasy?
Yes.
I don't really consider it fantasy.
Because wizards are real? Is that what you're saying?
I thought everyone believed that. My bad. I don't know. There's something about it that doesn't feel very fantasy-like about it. But I guess now that I think about
that's a credit. That's just a credit to how well those movies are made.
Yeah, I mean, but like it's not like fantasy's like a negative thing. Oh, this is a fantasy movie. It's
right.
Like, so
right.
I don't know. Okay, so I'd probably pick science fiction because I very much like science fiction movies. I'd also pick dramas, and I said thrillers, which I think are very similar to dramas. Because I don't know. Would you agree? Is a thriller a drama, or is it?
I mean, it has dramatic elements, but it's it's more about the suspense and like creating the mood through atmosphere.
Okay.
Whereas dramas are straight up like, this is somebody's life. These are real life events or situations.
Oh, so you associate drama with real life stuff, like based on true stories?
Okay. Where I feel like thrillers are more.
Well, they have elements of like action, I guess,
right,
to them, or
and even horror to a point.
Yeah, so like it kind of like thriller is kind of like a safe between like okay, so then all right, then I'll stick with thriller. So I got science fiction, thriller, and I'm gonna throw in one that I'm surprised you didn't mention, and that's comedy. Because I think you need to have a laugh every once in a while. And, like, there's nothing, like, I like to throw, like, on a Netflix random comedy movie sometimes just to, just kind of relax. So, I'm going to definitely hit up comedy.
I guess I didn't say comedy because I haven't really thought about comedy in a long time. It's been a while since I feel like we've had a really classic comedic movie that has really kind of broken the mold. I think last time I really felt like that personally was something like a Bridesmaids.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna go back further and just say like Superbad was like the last really good comedy movie that I can think of off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. But like still like I don't mind watching bad comedy movies. That's another thing.
And this is not a political podcast by any stretch of the imagination.
This is getting we're getting canceled.
But we do know that actively in 2019 comedy is a lot harder to make because people are so sensitive now to what they feel you can comment on, what they feel you can make fun of,
right?
What are things that are should be off limits to comedians, and a lot of people feel like there shouldn't be any limits to what a comedian can say or talk about or do as long as it's funny, as long as what I mean. There's work put into it, but
right.
So it's a very big gray area right now, and it'll be really interesting to see where comedy goes in the future in terms of movies and.
From what I've seen, though, it's going downhill.
But I heard that The Good Boys was good. I didn't see that movie.
Oh, that's like the Superbad, but for kids.
For little kids, yes. Yeah. Yes. I've heard that it was very funny. So
really, yeah.
Maybe we'll check that out.
I no, I'm not.
But yeah, so I just haven't thought about comedy in a long time.
Okay.
It almost doesn't exist anymore to me.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot of like, because Netflix, we have that whole streaming service thing. There's just so many. They have like tons of comedy movies on there to check out. So it's just it's hard not to. And I don't know. It's a nice way to relax. Nice just to have a laugh. Even though like a lot of them aren't great, they still have some good humor in it.
Right. So was that your last question?
That was my last question before we moved into our main discussion. So, yes, Smash is a game. Smash Ultimate is a game that we play.
We like to smash bros.
Yes.
Our bros, specifically.
Yes. And, there was the release of Terry Bogard from Fatal Fury?
/ King of Fighters.
/ SN... I don't know.
/ SNK. Just a really famous Capcom fighter, man.
Now, I'm going to start this off before we get into our discussion here. I'm just going to say that I don't think I'm a fan of putting other fighters into the Smash Ultimate. I think the whole point of the Smash game is kind of bring in characters who aren't necessarily involved in fighting. You know what I mean? Like, they already have their fighting game, so it's weird to introduce them into another fighting game. Because it feels like it's taking a slot from somebody who hasn't been in a fighting game at all. You know what I mean? Like, the whole point, like, Mario's not a fighting character, but, like, you throw him in there just for fun. So, like...
Right.
I don't see... Like, that's why I was pretty not happy with, like, Ken and Ryu being introduced. I'm like, they already have their fighting game. Why would you take away a slot from another potential company that would like to have a character in there? You know what I mean? Do you agree?
I've definitely changed my mind on this quite a bit, because when these fighters started to come out originally, I was pretty excited. I was excited that, one, we were able to break down all the business walls and this character belongs to this company, to be able to bring them all into this game. I'm glad that they were able to actually make that happen.
Yeah.
But then as time kind of goes on, you start to kind of realize that some of these characters don't really fit into Smash as well as you'd want them to fit.
Right.
Like the Street Fighter characters, they feel off.
They do.
You know what I mean? They feel different, not in a good way, where it's almost like a square peg in a round hole. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. Just because of the mechanics involved in those games is very much different than how Smash is played.
Right.
I think that's probably one of the bigger issues there.
Right. And even though it's cool that we're expanding and now it's all video games and all classic characters, there's something to be said about this was originally a Nintendo only kind of thing. And, there's still several Nintendo characters that are nowhere near Smash.
Right. So you're saying that, like, they should stick to having Nintendo characters first priority over having these outside other companies?
I think it's too late now. I think we're in this era now.
Sure,
and now it's everybody, so...
Okay, yeah.
Hopefully we can just get better characters, I guess.
Okay, so then here's my question for you. Then, do you have a problem with Snake? Because Snake also doesn't really fit the mold. Like, you look at the character roster, he doesn't really fit because he's more of a stealth, real life kind of game. You know what I mean? Yeah. Not cartoony at all with all his stuff. So, do you feel he doesn't fit in Smash and he shouldn't have been in Smash at all?
Surprisingly, I feel like he does fit. Or maybe that's to do with how the characters are implemented, right?
Or maybe even just time. Maybe given like another 3 years, maybe Ken and Ryu and Terry Bogard will feel more like Smash characters. But maybe. But then again,
because we have had Snake since Brawl, so I see what you mean.
Yeah. So maybe at this point, but like I don't know. I find it odd because a lot of people want Doom Guy in Smash.
Really?
Yeah, and it's Doom Slayer now, thanks to the new Doom game, which is amazing. Play it. They want him, and I'm like, this doesn't fit. I don't want to add like real life gore or like not real life, I guess, because he's fighting demons from hell.
Right.
But like having this kind of overly gory kind of character in there. And like who literally just uses guns and chainsaws. Like
which is a difficult moveset for a Smash game.
Yeah, because the whole Smash is supposed to be like PG at most, I think. So
right. I mean, what does Doom Guy even look like in Smash?
Yeah, that's a good question. Like he probably look very similar to how Samus plays, but I guess it'd be like more bullets and plasma kind of. But like I don't know. I don't think it fits. I think with choosing characters, you should choose something that has a similar art style that would fit, that would kind of blend in seamlessly into the Smash genre.
Agreed. I don't think it would fit.
Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Okay. So then let's now move on to the slots now. we can just talk about a couple. So who is the one character you want for this last fighter pack?
Okay, so let's get this out of the way
here
right away. And I know that this is going to be on your list, and I just want to talk about it up top because the only real character I could think of that I feel needs to be in Smash that isn't is Crash Bandicoot.
Okay, yes, obviously. Stole my number one. That's fine.
We have to talk about it right up top because I thought about it for hours, and I couldn't think of anybody that I really felt like, no, they need to be in this game as a part of video game history, as a part of something that's missing, as a part of rounding out what this is.
So it's like Smash has evolved to the point where it's like you have to kind of bring in anything that's been relevant to the history of
video games.
Of video games. Okay, that's interesting.
That's what I feel.
That's what you feel like. It's transcended its own genre, like it transcended Nintendo, and it's now all gaming ever.
Mm-hmm. As soon as they started bringing in the Capcom characters and your Mega Mans, it opened it up, and it's a hole that's missing. You feel it. You definitely feel it.
Because they have I guess for some reason people think that the Metal Gear Solid Snake is the Sony representation, but I don't know. I've never really considered him because he started on Nintendo and kind of transitioned in. Whereas in Crash Bandicoot was 100% made for the PlayStation, and
kind of defines that early PlayStation era as well.
Yeah, I've thought about Crash Bandicoot's moveset for so long. I have ideas on how he would move and how he would the kind of what stages they would use, his final smash, all that kind of stuff. And it does seem because they have Sonic, who was a big rival to Mario, so it kind of feels like we're missing that other third rivalry.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if you ever saw the commercials with Crash Bandicoot, the guy dressed up, yelling outside of
Those
Nintendo building.
I miss old style commercials like that.
Yeah, what was it? Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Like those are some great slogans. Yeah, we don't really have that nowadays. It's like, hey, just buy our game.
Buy this thing.
They don't even say anything about the other company.
And that's the other thing too, is that there are these characters that are out there that already have such an ingrained perfect moveset for Smash. King K. Rool was one of those guys for a long time.
100%, yeah.
In his game, in Donkey Kong Country 2, more specifically, which is what they based it on.
Yeah.
He already had all the moves that he would have had. As a boss fight in the game.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that. I love stuff when it's right there, easy to grab.
Okay.
Normally, they do a good job when they come up with completely whole original movesets, but not entirely, not always.
Okay.
And so I feel like Crash is just, it's got so many obvious things that you can make the moveset out of. And I'm sure you've thought about this.
Oh, yeah, Body Slam. He has his bazooka. He has his slide. He has his double jump thing that he does. You can even throw in a cart if you want for a side B or something like that. He has so many things he could use. And what do you think the biggest hurdle is to getting him into here? Why do you think it's taking so long? Because for us, it seems to be an obvious choice, but
it's whatever it is on the business side of things that has
so?
made Activision not use the character as much as could have been used. Things are different now because we've had the resurgence of these classic games being remastered, which is great. But for the longest time, for years and years, we've been kind of waiting and been teased. Oh, something with Crash is coming. Something with Crash is coming.
Right.
Do you remember the launch promotion for the PlayStation 4?
Yeah.
They had that. On the street, they had that yield sign that had a little crash on it.
People were circling that with red circles. Why do you think people circle with red circle? By the way, is it because of
stands out better?
Stands out better, or because that's what teachers do? Is that because it's ingrained in society? Because anytime there's is this some kind of hidden thing? They have a red circle around it. Okay.
Traffic signs.
I know. Oh, well, yeah, maybe. Okay.
No parking signs.
There was also the one, speaking of the Crash Bandicoot thing, there was that one thing where the guy was wearing a Crash Bandicoot shirt while talking about some other game. They're like, okay, well, obviously this means something. So people can't wear just regular clothing anymore.
That is the worst. That is such an executive move. Okay, I'm about to do this press conference, at E3 or what have you. Oh, better put on some classic video game shirt that I have I don't know these people in real life, but I get that feeling that it's just such a corporate move. Oh, put on a Crash shirt. They'll love that.
Yeah,
they'll love
tease
it.
Them.
Tease them.
Yeah.
Have you ever played Crash? Do you know Crash? No, I don't. Okay, put on the shirt. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think Crash is a good choice.
I think he's the only choice.
Yeah, but you think that, but then here's Terry Bogard, some guy from 1991.
To be fair, King of Fighters and SNK and Fatal Fury, you know, they're really, really famous inside the fighting game genre. So.
Oh, well, actually, here's another thing. Do you think that maybe like Crash isn't popular enough in Japan? Like I know he's in North America, he's really well known. Do you think Japan is kind of another hurdle that you might have to overcome? Maybe he's not as popular there. I don't know how
that
well
that always seems to be a factor, doesn't it? But I just feel like, I mean, haven't we moved past kind of like regional differences that way? These things are worldwide products, right?
I guess that can be true because I mean, because even I didn't watch his 45-minute demo. Sakurai did like a 45-minute demo for Terry Bogard. I think he mentions that. Oh yeah,
45 minutes on a Smash character.
That was the whole thing where it's like people were like, "Oh, he's obviously going to be releasing another character or going to say another character." No, 100% 45 minutes of him just doing a tutorial for. I guess because they put in inputs, like you know how like in the classic kind of fighting games. So like I guess it's more complicated now. But like anyway, what was my point? What was I saying? Oh, basically he said that like that choices aren't determined by how popular a character is.
Interesting.
Which is very interesting because I mean that kind of opens the door to anybody. So that's kind of so that kind of hurts kind of Crash. But then again, I think he said that, but Terry Bogard is well known. And I don't know. I don't know how much that's actually going to impact his decisions later on. I don't even know how many more fighting characters or how many more characters we're going to get.
Right. I mean, it's impossible to say at this point.
Yeah. Okay, so you stole my Crash Bandicoot one. So I'm gonna go with my second choice here, which again is something that I not as many people mention this one for some reason. I'm gonna go with Spyro. I think Spyro is a good, like, if you can't get Crash Bandicoot because Activision or whatever, I think Spyro is a good second choice because he's another character whose art design fits. He has a lot of movesets that he can use. He's very popular. He also had his trilogy just remade. So, I mean, like, I think he's a fair choice because, like, yeah. Hell, and you can even package them together somehow if you want. Like, I don't know. They always go together for some reason, Crash and Spyro. That's definitely a character I think.
So what's the moveset?
What's the moveset? Well, I think he has his charging attack, which could be his side B. I was thinking for his B is that like he spits out a specific color orb because like in Ripto's Rage, like different colored orbs lets him do different things.
Okay, perfect.
So like when he spits it up, he swallows it again, and then he's able to do, I don't know, run faster or shoot fireballs or something like that instead of just having his regular fire. His regular fire like would be kind of like similar to Bowser's. You know what I mean? So those are the ones I can think of. He also has like he has a good down B where like he flips and his horns land on the ground. You know, he jumps and. So
yeah, that's pretty solid. That's an inspired choice, actually. I didn't think of Spyro at all.
Yeah, I think it'd be definitely fun. He definitely fits with the genre, I think. Also, not in a fighting game. It's just not. The only thing that's kind of nerve-wracking about him is that he's part of the Skylanders, or I don't know if he still is, and he's been associated with that for so long. So maybe
seems like we're moving away from that now.
Oh, I'm good.
With the remaster of the games.
I did not like his design in Skylanders. It was really bad.
Yeah, it was very over-designed.
Yeah, the whole Skylanders thing was also kind of like a meh thing.
Just a throwaway. Okay, wow, you've definitely put me on the spot now.
Oh yeah,
I have no follow up for such a good character. So I was looking at the representation across all genres, and
yeah,
one where I see a huge kind of missing spot is definitely Sonic. We could do with more Sonic people.
Oh, I was gonna say well, good news for you, he's in the game. He's been in the game for a while, so yeah.
So I couldn't decide between these two characters because I think that you could make the argument for both, and they could fill a very, very just similar kind of spot on the roster.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna cheat and go to either Shadow Sonic or Metal Sonic. You take your pick.
Okay.
Personally,
yeah,
I would go Shadow because I have a bias, and that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite video game characters
ever
of all time.
Wow. Is he the
Even
one
though
with
it's not that great.
Is he the one with the
Don't tell
gun?
anybody. He is the one with the gun.
Oh.
He is, and it's funny. That's the reason why I love Shadow so much is
His
because
gun.
there was little baby Carlos, with his GameCube, playing his Nintendo games, and then all of a sudden comes this one box art cover of just Shadow standing in a realistic looking city, holding an AK-47 on a GameCube on a Nintendo game, and I was like, okay, wow, we're doing this.
Wow, okay.
I was sold.
Okay,
it's not a great game, that game.
I didn't think so, because
it's awful, actually.
Was it on AVGN? Did he do, when he did Sonic games?
I can't remember, but it's janky. It's janky. But Shadow himself is a cool character. So he's one of these ultimate life form type characters created by Robotnik.
Of course.
He's like the dark version of Sonic.
You mean Egghead or whatever is it Egghead?
Dr. Eggman?
Eggman.
I say Robotnik, but
Well, because that's so much better.
So much better.
Oh, why did they change it? Do you remember?
I have no idea. I don't know about that.
To appeal to kids? I don't know.
I hope not. I really hope it was some kind of legal thing or just a really good reason why that would have to happen.
You can't use Robotniks because it's trademarked. Okay, but is Shadow different enough from Sonic to work?
Yes. So yes, he is. For one, the way that he runs is very different. He almost like skates on his shoes. Like it's a very fluid kind of like skating motion.
Yeah.
He's more powerful. Like he's stronger in general.
Okay.
That's a given with any kind of dark version of a character.
They're usually stronger. Yeah.
Usually stronger. Yeah. But then he had the biggest gimmick with Shadow is the chaos control. So for anyone who doesn't know, in the Sonic franchise, there are these things called the Chaos Emeralds, the 7 Chaos Emeralds. They're the thing that you're trying to always get. They're the thing that power up Sonic. They're the MacGuffins that can do, whatever the writers need them to do whenever they need them to do it.
Right, sure, yeah.
So, in Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, Shadow was introduced as this character that could use the Chaos Emeralds to do what is effectively known as Chaos Control, which is basically time travel.
Okay.
Time travel. Used in varying kind of degrees, too, because he uses it in small ways, like, teleporting behind you, things like that. Or big things, big not subtle things, like going back in time 10 years.
So he's like the Flash, who's always going back in time.
Essentially. Yeah, actually, essentially. You're not even off there. Most of his plots involve some kind of form of time travel.
It's to save his mom again from the bank robber,
or not save her.
I don't.
From his dad. In the case of the Flash.
I don't know.
Or Professor Zoom. I don't know. We're butchering that lore.
Well, I don't care.
He just always has to go back in time and mess something up and then go back again to fix it.
I heard that's what ruined the Flash show, is like him just doing it constantly.
Constantly and never learning, because that's the only.
Is that the only thing you can do?
That's the only thing you can do with Flash, I guess.
Maybe they should just kind of stop that. They're like, maybe Flash can't go that fast where he can go back in time. Maybe just kind of throw that away. But okay, so would you kind of have it like a Shulk, right?
Right.
Would you have like a wheel come up, like maybe like the down beat like brings up a wheel to choose like a Chaos Emerald, and then like you would use that emerald to do something?
I really like that idea.
Yeah.
I love that idea, to use the different color emeralds to have him have some kind of different effect.
Yeah.
But then there is one more thing with Shadow too, is that the rings that he wears on his wrists, they're actually limiters. Oh, I love this concept in anything. One of my favorite uses of this very same concept is Yu Yu Hakusho. The spirit cuffs that Genkai gives him for the Dark World tournament.
Yeah.
I love that. I love anything that I was wearing a thing that's actually holding me back because I'm so powerful.
I'm surprised he didn't go with weighted training armor or clothing from Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, but the spirit cuffs are more direct relation to the Shadows things, because they're just rings on his wrists that he takes off, and that's his limit break pretty much.
Do you think then? Okay, here's an idea for you. Maybe like the more damage he takes, like they'll come off and he'll get stronger because of it. Like maybe like once he reaches like 100, like one comes off or something like that, and then he becomes a little bit stronger and faster. So that's like, is that kind of where you're going with that?
Again, I'm loving how quick you're able to kind of turn these into Smash concepts.
Well, because I think about this all the time. Just because like Terry Bogard has something similar to like once he reaches over 100%, then you can start doing those kind of like half circle combos or stuff like that. So like, I think the idea works. I think it's a very interesting choice. I actually thought that Shadow is very similar to Sonic, and I didn't realize that they were that different. They had these different choices that you could use. So I mean, that's a good choice. That's a good choice. My other choice here, which I'm very shocked you haven't mentioned. This one, I guess, is for the memes, because I think Waluigi needs to be in Smash. Finally. Because, like, we already have, like, the entire, like, roster, like, the main roster at this point. We don't, like, except for Piranha Plant, which I'm so mad that out of all the Mario
That is a waste of a character.
I mean, it was free. I'll take a free character, but still, like, Piranha Plant, not a fan. But, like, Waluigi... I think what they can do with him is kind of like highlight all the other games. He can represent so many games because he's part of a lot of the party games.
Right.
Like I think maybe like he can throw a dice from like Mario Party as like a thing as one of his projectiles. Maybe he can drive a cart like in Mario Kart. There's like maybe like something tennis related because he always like you remember
the power tennis games. Yeah.
Also like but like if you remember in I think it was Brawl. He's an assist trophy in that. Doesn't he have like a racket?
His racket, yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, like he can represent so many different Mario games. I think I don't know why it's taken so long to kind of like put him in because we already have Wario,
right?
And I think Waluigi is just as popular, maybe even more popular than Wario. So I think he needs to be in Smash. I really do.
I agree. Maybe part of the hesitation with that is exactly what you say, right? He's a supporting character in the party games.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, unless there are some Japan-only games that I'm not aware of.
Oh, probably.
He hasn't really been the antagonist in a mainline Mario game or even, you know, a Mario series game. And I think that's kind of a fault of Nintendo's. Like, that's a very good character, and it would be very fun to have him be, you know, some kind of main antagonist, especially to Luigi.
Not even like
if we played up that whole they're the counterparts to Mario and Luigi thing. I've always wanted that to be more played up.
Yeah, they kind of abandoned that pretty quickly. I mean,
very
like,
quickly.
I think, well, like, every other Mario character, I mean, not really everyone, but, like, you have Mario has his own games. Luigi now has his own games. Wario has his own games. So, like, yeah, why is there so much hesitation to try to give Waluigi his own game where he's not even the antagonist, he's the protagonist? I think there's like, an untapped market there, and I think he could represent a lot of stuff in Smash, and I think that it's a miss to have him not in it at all. It's also just a meme choice, too, because people always meme about Waluigi. Man, that rose. Have you ever played Mario Party where, like, when he, like his thing is, like, he takes out a rose on the Wii one? It's great. It's romantic. It's awesome.
That's a really great choice, man.
Yeah, I've been
You're
holding
blowing me out of the water.
I'm really... I came prepared. This is a professional podcast. So, yes, I came prepared. I also came prepared with some other kind of off-key choices that I did some research just because I was having a tough time coming up with some of the ideas. I came across this one I thought was really interesting. I'd like to get your take on it. And that is Pokemon Trainer, but for a different generation. I think that would be a very good idea.
Elaborate.
Like, okay, because like we have Pokemon Trainer, right?
Yes.
Squirtle, Venusaur? Ivysaur, yeah. Ivysaur and Charizard. Those are all Gen 1. So maybe we introduce like we introduce like a different different trainer from a different gen. Maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 or even higher if you want, and then have those 3 Pokemon evolutions for those 3 starters. Like, the sky's the limit for that one. I think that's an interesting idea. I don't know if they'd ever do it, though, because it does kind of overlap on Pokemon Trainer.
Oh, I love that. You could bring in Generation 3 and have Cyndaquil, Totodile, and
yeah, you can even
Chikorita, I think.
You can even change up like which ones are the bottom. Like you can change it up. You can do whatever you want with the 3 stars. I think it's an interesting idea.
Right. You know, it's funny you should say that because for my 3rd character,
yeah,
I kind of had a similar thing. Almost like variations on a theme of an existing character.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, I really want Baby Mario in there.
Oh.
But I mean the Baby Mario that is in need of and attached to Yoshi. You know what I mean? Where in that, you know, in that original game in Yoshi's Island, you know, when when you would get hit, because Yoshi's carrying Mario to safety pretty much. That's the gimmick of the game.
Yeah.
So Yoshi gets hit, baby Mario goes into that bubble thing, you know, like in New Super Mario Brothers for Wii and Wii U, where you get hit and you go into that bubble.
Yeah.
And someone has to hit you out.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Baby Mario, and he would cry. You know, there would be a wah wah whenever he wasn't with Yoshi.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, that's genius, because it could become almost like an Ice Climbers play style.
Okay.
Where it kind of depends on both of them, and if one dies, the other kind of goes and is less effective. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then also just that same mechanic of the crying would be a great callback to that original series, but also it would be great for the mind game of Smash, because if you can get used to the crying, you know, in this case you'd be maining this character.
Yeah.
Everybody else is not. Everyone else is going to hate that. That wow. That's gonna start messing up button combinations and prompts, and just frustrating people and throwing them out of their, you know, their groove when it comes to Smash, because we all know it's a game about momentum, right?
Yeah.
That baby is a momentum killer.
Right. Okay. That's a very interesting idea.
Now I'm not sure about the overall moveset.
That's where you get tricky though, because it would just seem to be like, oh, you're just Yoshi. You know, it's almost like what you could do with this is like it can become its own game mode. Whereas like you're playing as Yoshi, and like you have to keep fighting off these Smash characters while also trying to keep the baby safe.
Right.
So like you could go for it that way, but as a character, it would be tricky to do for sure. Here's one that you did not mention, and I think you should have, because you're a big fan of this franchise here, and it's a character known as Dixie Kong.
I was going to, actually.
It's
crazy. Yeah. It's crazy that you should bring that up.
Yeah.
Because I was definitely gonna bring her into it.
Because I don't know much about her.
I love Dixie Kong. For those who don't know, one of my favorite games of all time, is Donkey Kong Country 2. I think that series, for one, the Donkey Kong Country series, is amazing. I mean, it solidified the Super Nintendo as just this juggernaut with a great library, but specifically 2, because that's the one I started with. I got that on the Game Boy Advance remake of that game, the re-release.
Yeah.
Wow, man. I played that forwards to back, 100%, everything. Okay. And so, Dixie Kong is just this really, really fun, you know, the girlfriend of Diddy kind of character, but then she really kind of becomes her own standout kind of character.
Yeah.
And just like with so many of these characters we talk about, the moveset being kind of ingrained. So her whole gimmick is that she flies with her ponytail.
Yeah, I've seen it, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So even just that, I mean, we're talking another kind of, maybe a different version of Peach's hovering, you know?
Oh, okay.
Get some of that air game going.
Yeah, okay.
She has, whenever in Donkey Kong Country, whenever you land on the target for every stage, they play their instrument to, you know, as a little ending animation.
What's her instrument?
She's got a guitar.
Oh, okay.
She's got a rockin' guitar.
So it could be similar to like what Donkey Kong when he's...
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And then, alternatively, I don't know. I don't even know. As a second skin, or even as like maybe a copy character, but I wouldn't like that as much.
No.
You could have Tiny Kong, which is the Nintendo 64 version of Dixie.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure if in the lore they're a different character, but basically the biggest difference is that she has ponytails as opposed to two pigtails as opposed to one long ponytail.
Okay. That's a very interesting choice. I mean,
I would love that, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe Donkey Kong, like once they threw in King K. Rool, they were kind of done with Donkey Kong. But I think Dixie Kong was a good choice, and I think with that, we're gonna take a break here, guys. So we'll be back to talk about some Brooklyn Nine-Nine. All right, welcome back, guys. So now we're gonna talk about B99. Is that the acronym for it, or like how it's shortened? Do you know?
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's what that. Okay, yeah. So I just recently started the show about, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago. If you guys don't know about it, it's like a cop show. It's comedy. Kind of takes place at a Precinct 99 in Brooklyn. it's kind of like the kind of everyday stuff that goes on in the office, and crime fighting and everything. And
So it's basically The Office, but with cops.
kind of, but they don't do any of that stuff that takes me out of the office, where they talk to like the camera and stuff like that.
No talking heads.
No, none of that. So I'm very happy about that. So, all right, let's talk about the good things, because there are some things I like about this show, surprisingly, and there's also a lot of things I don't like. But let's go with the things I like first. I think the characters all have very good chemistry. I think all of them are funny in their own ways, and they all work very well together.
Right.
Well, most of them, I should say. There are some that I don't like.
Shade.
Yeah.
Most.
Like, it took a while for me to get used to like Boyle's comedy, but like I think it's an essential part of the show. I think everyone's comedy, they kind of like pull from different kind of realms of comedy for each character, and I think it works well together.
Boyle is definitely the biggest X factor of the show. I feel like how you feel about Boyle as a person is what's gonna determine the difference between the show being great for you and the show being just good. Because I do know a lot of people that do not like that character or that dynamic.
Because that's pretty much the show. If you don't like that, or you can't tolerate
that's
that.
a huge part of the show.
Yeah, okay, so I like all the characters. I think they all work very well with each other. Like, you can combine any two characters into a scenario, and I think it'll work. I also do like that, even though it's kind of like your standard comedy sitcom show, that they have these kind of overarching things that'll last several episodes or the season. Like, I guess we can kind of spoil some of the show just to kind of give you some examples. Kind of like when they got moved to night shift, because they all went to Florida, I think it was.
Right.
So like that's like 3 to 5 episodes of them kind of working on night shift and then having to transition back. Like, I like that the show kind of does this to kind of break up the whole kind of sitcom kind of vibe.
Mm-hmm. The formulaic kind of nature of predictable sitcom routine.
Exactly. Yeah. It's also it's just a funny show. There is some good. It took a while for me to get used to the comedy. It's kind of, I don't know if that makes sense.
Right.
Where it's like I got what the comedy was going to be like in the first episode, and I was interested to see how it was going to develop over the series. And I think there's a lot of good callbacks. There's a lot of continuity that I really like any show that has continuity. So I think that it does that well. Yeah.
Right. So you like some things.
I like some things.
What do you hate?
Okay. Well,
tell me what you hate so I can tell you why you're wrong.
Okay. I don't like, because one of the biggest problems is that it is a sitcom. So then you have these very formulaic plots all the time. And I think another problem with having, like, on top of that, because he's like, here's the episode where, like, Jake's friend from another thing comes by, and then Charles gets jealous of him, but then Jake thinks that, he's just being overly jealous. But, like, no, it's because he's actually a bad cop. Like, it's...
Right.
Like, these things, like, I don't like them. And it happens all the time on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And also, another thing is that I think the show tries to do too many plots in one episode. Because generally how it would work is, like, you'd have a A story and a B story, right?
Right.
I think sometimes they go for a try story. And I think that doesn't work because always one story doesn't feel well developed enough. And I think that the show does that way too often. And I almost always forget about the third plot that's supposed to be in this storyline. Because I'm
Right.
more invested in the other two that's going on. I feel like it kind of spreads itself thin.
Can you give me an episode where you feel is a really good example of what you're talking about?
Off the top of my head, no, I can't. But I know it happens all the time, because you'll have, like, characters will split up into, like, these two characters are doing something, these two characters are doing something, and these other two characters are doing something.
Yeah, usually that's how it goes. They break off into groups.
Yeah, so, like, Jake and Rosa might be trying to solve something, while Boyle, and, like, Linetti, Gina are doing something as well. And then, like, Holt and Terry are doing something. And it's like, there's way too many things going on. I'm trying to focus on, like the Jake thing's obviously the most important, because he is our main character, I think. So, I don't know. It kind of feels like they're trying too much in some episodes. Not to be fair, not every episode is a try story. But the ones that are, I feel, are just way too much.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
I don't disagree with that.
Okay.
That's a fault more of the format of a sitcom than this show itself.
Yeah. Like, if the show was longer, I think a try story could work. It just doesn't have that time.
I think the only counter argument that I have for that, or maybe not even a counter argument, but it goes back to exactly what we were saying. It's about how these characters hit you and how much you actually like their dynamic. Because, like you say, right, they all can be broken off into groups together in any kind of combination.
Yeah.
That's something that's rare. That's something that's very rare.
Yeah.
And two, for me, it's the fact that these dynamics, these character dynamics and characters themselves are so compelling and so funny on their own outside of the show that it completely kind of erases the formulaic nature of the sitcom for me.
Really?
It almost becomes a background, almost inconsequential to me.
So it's characters over story.
Characters over story,
see,
for sure.
See, for me, I have a tough time ever kind of doing that. For me, the story is always the most important. If you're telling a story visually in like movies, TV shows, story is what comes first.
Even in comedy.
Yes, even comedy, because like think about all the really good Futurama episodes. They're all really well articulated stories that have very good humor interwoven into it. They're like the worst episodes are ones where it's like, oh, their characters are just in a bad scenario saying something funny. Like it's still a bad episode. It still may be funny, but it doesn't make it good.
Right.
That's kind of like Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It's funny, but that doesn't mean it's all the time it's good. If you know what I mean, like.
Absolutely.
Because you definitely sacrifice something by sticking to like comedy form, like the sitcom format. Another thing that I don't really care for, and this isn't really Brooklyn Nine-Nine's fault. It's just like media has become more interwoven. I want to say like comedy and drama are very interwoven. Like say for instance something like BoJack. BoJack Horseman is a mix of comedy and drama, and it does that very well. I find a lot of shows are kind of making that transition where they're focusing on more drama aspects in the comedy as well, and it kind of gives them more depth.
More weight.
And I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine, for the most part, I did see the Momo episode, which was actually, I like that episode. But like, I feel like it's mostly just comedy, and like a lot of the stakes aren't really big, and like the characters aren't having very big and dramatic things happening to them. I don't want it all the time. But every once in a while, even Futurama did something like that, where like they'd have these hard-hitting episodes. Right. I feel like it's losing that kind of level of depth by kind of not exploring that more. Because I enjoyed the Momo episode. If they can do more stuff that's kind of deals with discrimination based on like racism, sexism, without being undercut by the comedy itself, I think the show could really benefit from that. Or else it's just going to stay as a standard kind of sitcom.
Right.
That's kind of like my point of view. I don't know if you think that it's okay to stay as a comedy, because I guess like they're satisfying that kind of crowd. But for me, I'm looking for something with a little bit more depth. I've seen too many sitcoms, whereas like I like seeing something like Final Space does this a lot too. So like I don't know what you think about that.
I really think it depends on who you are, because for me, that's almost what I'm looking for. I'm kind of looking for an escape from all of that. I don't want it to be as dramatic and as serious as real life kind of is. And I really, artistically speaking, I love the merit of that in any project.
Okay.
But sometimes you're just looking to turn something on, turn your brain off, laugh, not really be thinking about the greater kind of problems and issues that we might have going on in the world and the space around us.
But is that show good then? If you're turning your brain off to watch it, is that
if
good?
That's what you're looking for in a show, then that show is good.
Okay.
If that's what I want out of a show and it gives me that on a 10 out of 10 kind of level, then it's a great show. Okay. For that very specific thing.
But it has to be it's very specific.
It's very person to person.
Oh, okay. So the show's
very subjective.
Okay, so the show's quality is based on who's watching it and what they're watching it for. So like you're saying that I'm kind of barking up the wrong tree by wanting these other dramatic elements. That's what you're saying.
To a point, to an extent, because I do believe that what you're saying would make it a better show.
Yeah. And
I don't think it necessarily hurts it to incorporate those kinds of things.
Yeah.
It's just not the kind of show they were making. And even so, you're talking about the development of the show itself. Like you say, as we go on in these later seasons, they do kind of start to play in that area. Very little. Very few select episodes.
Yeah.
So we're talking like episodes where Rose is dealing with her sexuality and how her family feels about it. Things like that. That's, it goes a little further away from the comedy into something a little more real, a little more serious. Or
yeah.
An episode where Amy is investigating some kind of business firm, and it's mostly like misogynistic kind of dudes working there, and no one really wants to say the real of what happened, and it deals with, abuse and women in the workplace and things like that. But I wish it would have been incorporated more early on, like you're saying, because those episodes are great, but they stick out a little bit. They feel very shocking,
that's
very jarring, almost like whiplash.
That's kind of what I felt, because like the Momo episode, the one I'm talking about, because I don't think I've gone to those episodes that you've talked about yet, because I'm about season 5 right now.
Right.
But yeah, the Momo episode happens in like mid season 4. Like that is way too late to kind of introduce this kind of dramatic element. So I mean, like I don't know. I feel like they should have probably kind of have the first season be kind of more lighthearted, and then kind of, if they wanted to go with the drama, kind of introduce it earlier and throughout the series. So it kind of feels like too little, too late at this point.
I'm fascinated to see where people fall on this. So just to wrap it up, if you had to give Brooklyn Nine-Nine a rating on a, let's say, out of 10 scale.
Well, yeah, I don't do 5. I don't like 5. It doesn't feel like there's enough numbers.
Are we doing decimals here?
Oh, 100%. I could give a lot of things decimals. I'm always in between something. So I'd probably give the show a solid 7.5. It's good dumb comedy. Not dumb comedy, but like it's enjoyable. It's funny. Right. Yeah.
So I'm gonna optimistically go just a little bit higher than you and give it an 8.
Wow.
But there's a lot of things here that factor in. I think one of the biggest things is how much I love Andy Samberg. I've been following his career since Hot Rod. And,
of course.
It just, he's my comedian for, my generation that really just got to me.
Okay.
And I feel like that's a really huge deciding factor in liking the show a little bit more, even in spite of all these kind of shortcomings.
Yeah.
For sure. Favorite character?
Obviously, it has to be Holt. Captain Holt is the reason to watch the show. He's the best straight man, which is funny because he's gay in the show. He's just the best. He has the best reaction. He has the best comebacks. He has the best... Yeah, he's just the best.
The only one I feel could rival that, even though I agree with you, Gina Linetti.
Oh, I can't disagree with you more. She's probably my least favorite character. I try to give her time to shine. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I'm watching it. I'm like, I'm not laughing at most of the things that she's saying. I get that she's kind of quirky and out there, but like it doesn't appeal to me for whatever reason.
Ryan, Gina Linetti's a state of mind.
Oh, whatever. Okay, well, I think that's it, right? Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Watch it if you want. I don't know.
Or don't.
Or don't watch it. Yeah. What do I know?
Anyway, thank you so much for joining us, everybody. This has been the Pessimist versus Optimist.
Yeah.
I am the Optimist.
Yes, and I am the Pessimist. That's it, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.